One of the things we'll be tracking today on CJD 100 is the situation downtown and on university campuses, CEGEP campuses as well. Now, Concordia University has gone to very extraordinary lengths today. They've closed their downtown campus. They've canceled all classes today, citing potentially obstructive protests. Now, universities across Montreal are bracing for a difficult Tuesday. Thousands of students are planning walkouts, demonstrations, marking 2 years since Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. Christopher Skeete joins us now. Of course, he's an MNA for Sainte-Rose in the CAQ government, and he wears many hats because he's a minister responsible for many things. Mr. Skeete, Christopher, welcome back to the program.
Hi there, Elias.
The reason I set it up that way, and I don't just give our listeners your title, is because when I look at your titles, right? Minister for International Relations, Minister responsible for relations with English-speaking Quebecers, Minister responsible for the fight against racism, 3. And there's one more, the Minister for Laval. But I look at 3 of those 4 and I say 3 of those titles could have a direct connection to why you're speaking out on the protests that are happening. Can I ask you, which hat are you wearing? Which hats are you wearing when you speak about today's protests?
That's such a good question, Elias. I wear the hat of a Quebecer, a concerned Quebecer who just wants us all to live together and to get along. A lot of people from different countries chose Quebec to flee foreign conflicts. And when we import these conflicts onto our streets, I think we have to be quite clear and say we don't want that. And we want to build a society together, all of us, and that beautiful difference that makes up Quebec society.
Now, I know you choose your words carefully. Over the years, I've come to know you quite well. You choose your words carefully, right? You sent out a tweet yesterday about the demonstrations that are planned for today. You chose the word celebrate, right? Those who are choosing to celebrate the attacks of October 7th. You said, I'd like to offer reflection on those who will participate. Why are you using that word celebrate?
Well, because some people are choosing what is essentially a moment in history where 1,200 people were killed, women were raped, babies were murdered, and to come and talk about the legitimate cause that is the Palestinian state on this day feels mistimed and ill-advised.
What are your thoughts on the imagery that these protest groups are using today?
Again, ill-advised, insensitive. Whatever it is that you think about the Israeli-Palestine conflict, to use today to promote that vision, it would be. It's akin to me to celebrating the Islamic caliphate on September 11th. I mean, it's just something you don't do. And it's something that I feel should be discussed. I think we need to have a conversation about how we choose to live together. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted people to reflect on the wisdom of having that kind of celebration or that kind of, that kind of celebration today. I feel it feels ill-advised, harmful, and ill-timed.
There's a lot of worries about how things will happen today. Obviously, Concordia having those concerns, shutting down their campus, not wanting, because people were planning on entering the Hall building, let's say downtown, and I'm sure they're concerned about that. Do you have worries about what will happen throughout the rest of the day? What are your worries about if things will deteriorate or not?
I worry in general. I don't worry just about today. I worry about the climate, the social climate in Quebec. I worry about our ability to live together in the differences that make up Quebec society. And I have strong emotions about the people who fled those places in the world that aren't safe, where you can't say what you think, where you can't pray the way you want to pray, and you can't believe in what you want to believe, who come here to get away from that and to just live their lives and to generate an economy, participate in the economy, and have a life that's better for their kids. I think of those people, and then I think of us importing foreign conflicts, foreign discussions, foreign issues that really have little to no bearing on our way of life, and to try to import those conflicts, I feel as though it diminishes what are those people sought Quebec out for. And so I have to say, I think we need to have a conversation, a societal conversation. And I'm not saying I have the truth, but I want to have a conversation about what it is that we need to build together. For instance, Elias, your parents are Greek and my parents are from Trinidad. What makes us the same? Well, our Quebec citizenship makes us the same. Our belonging to Canada makes us the same. That is what drives us, and that similarity is what we build upon to build our society. I don't want to emphasize your difference and my difference, and we should recognize it as a strength, that difference. But to say that that's all we are in Quebec, in Canada, I think we miss an opportunity to build a better future together.
Now, you're in a unique position. We're with Christopher Skeete from the CAQ government. You're in a unique position because you're in a government that can do something about it. So what are you doing about it?
Yeah. You know, a lot of people have, and I've been on your show a few times now, and a lot of people give our government a lot of slack about these notions that we try to put forward to say that what is Quebec? What does it mean to be a Quebecer? And a lot of people don't agree with that. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a common citizenship, a common sense of belonging built on certain values that we all share as Quebecers and as Canadians, and that we want to build with people together. And I think when you tell people over time what we've been trying to do, I think we've been proven right to say that we should have some rules in our society that tell us how to be Quebecer. You know, what does it mean to be a Quebecer? And I think a lot of times we miss an opportunity to reinforce those links of what makes us similar, because we're so much more similar than we are different. And yet we always insist on emphasizing the difference every time, when in fact we share a lot more in common.
Let me ask you if you put any blame on what's going to go down today on the universities themselves, perhaps policing in the city of Montreal, municipal leadership on this front. This is not just today. This is 2 years of sites that I don't think many of us imagined would become commonplace in the city, yet here we are. And so do you put any blame on maybe some leaders on that front? And will your government do anything about that?
Well, we are going to be doing something about that. My colleagues are going to be looking to ways to reinforce secularism because, again, the same people who told us a few years ago when we were discussing Bill 21, there isn't a problem. Well, what we see in Bedford, for instance, is teachers who are outright prohibiting girls from participating in gym class because they're girls. So I think we need to have a conversation about that. And so blaming, the city, blaming the police, I'm not blaming anybody. I do wonder if people who are well-intentioned, oftentimes are well-intentioned. I want to be clear on that. I don't think they wake up in the morning to try and make us less safe. But I think in their ways that they actually deploy their reflections, it does ultimately make us less safe. And I wonder if we shouldn't have that conversation as a society about what it means to be a Quebecer, what it means to build that common citizenship, what unites us in all that difference. I think we are more than due for that conversation.
Does there need to be a more serious conversation with the university leadership and the kinds of environments they're fostering? I went to Concordia now. It's 20 years ago. It was the same kind of thing that was happening. Now, yeah. It was maybe, some people say it was as bad, depends on the year. But, there's been a fostering of an environment on university campuses for quite some time. And I wonder, you're pretty passionate about this. What should we be doing about what's happening on campuses?
What I loved about university, and especially Concordia, is I went in there and I did I did 1 full year full time, and then the rest I did part time. So I spent a lot of time in Concordia, and I went in one way and I came out another. And so what I love about Concordia was that I had my ideas challenged, that what I thought I knew, I didn't know. And people with different points of view told me that I was out to lunch. And I learned from these people. And sometimes I agreed with them and sometimes I didn't. And the person that I am today was born out of that fire, that crucible of having my ideas challenged all the time. What I think universities need to be is that. A university needs to be a place where you are intellectually stimulated to challenge the ideas that you have and to ultimately fall somewhere where you've learned the different points of view and accepted them and embraced some of them and discarded others and become your own person. That's how we build a citizen in our country. And so when you remove that ability to have discourse, when you cancel people who you don't agree with, when you say they can't talk on your campus, when you tell them they're not welcome, when you have a monolithic voice and points of view in the classroom, I don't think anybody wins. And so what my biggest hope would be that our universities continue to be those areas where people can challenge themselves and challenge what they hear and challenge what they believe every day. And if we do that, we'll get it right. But increasingly, in the West, not just here, in the West in general, we have this narrative, this monolith of a voice of points of view, and I think that is dangerous.
We're going to have to leave it there, Mr. Skeete. Christopher, it's always great talking to you. Thank you so much for talking to our listeners this morning.
Anytime, and stay safe, everybody.
I'm Dylan Playfair.
And I'm Tyler Smith.
We're putting loneliness in the penalty box by talking to some of our favorite athletes about the importance of friendship.
This is Bromance.
Bromance is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, proudly Canadian-owned and operated. Charm has been part of your love stories and bromances for over 50 years.
And you can find Bromance on the iHeartRadio network or wherever you get your podcasts.